Hey everyone. Yes, we are finally live. We had some tech issues. So I'm Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today we're going to be discussing about building your brand while dealing with adversity. We'll talk about how brands can emerge stronger. What are some of the biggest lessons our guests learned being a part of the one of the fastest unicorns in history, and tips for new sellers going into 2024. All right, well, guys, thanks for holding on. I know we're about 20 minutes late, but we'll make this happen. Welcome to another
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
What the hell, Kelsey? Holy jeez. Not only am I late, he messes my, he interrupts my spiel.
We got to get on with the show. I got to keep you on a tight rope today.
I'll keep you on a tight rope. Just okay. So today we're discussing building your brand and while dealing with adversity. Our guest is the VP of Europe for Europe's branch of Getida. His early career was in consulting, helping Fortune 500 companies execute big strategic changes. In 2013, he bootstrapped an Amazon FBA brand and built it up until 2020. Oh my God. Am I going to get through this? Oh my God. Okay. He was wiped out by COVID in 2020. He joined Thrasio as their first employee in Europe and led the M&A team from London. Now he's head of Europe for Getida. And oh my gosh, Jim, I'm 20 minutes late introducing you. Kelsey screws up with the music, but our first time guest, Jim Mann, and I am excited to speak to him just shortly. Let's have a word from our sponsor. Facing cash flow challenges with your e-commerce business? Discover Viably, your ultimate financial ally. From real-time sales data integrations to immediate funding access, Viably is here to support you. Plan your growth with their free tool for online sellers and engage with specialists whenever you need. Extend your cash flow with Viably. All right, we are back. Where is the mayor of Blunderville?
Hey, how's it going?
What the hell were you doing?
Well, sometimes
You're supposed to pay attention.
when you get a little rushed, when we're running a little late, you go off, do things a little differently. So I thought you ended, and so I started the music, but
No excuses.
correct. That was on
No excuses. All right, you're worth what you get paid. It's snowing here. Can't believe it.
Oh wow,
Fun.
Nice.
Yeah. So you're gonna come up and shovel the driveway?
Sure am not.
So any news from your end?
Well, it's Black Friday deal. I'm going to be posting lots on my TikTok and hopefully, get some things going on the TikTok platform. It's been just crazy kind of communicating with all the different brands and trying to figure out the best deals. And just been very busy with that. But
Yeah, you've done really well. Not only on the one major one that I swear last year if we would have put it up, we probably would have had 1,000 views. This year we posted for Walmart and we're over 250,000 views on that one. But just over that last 2 weeks, I've seen another one for 110,000. And I mean, there's one at 99,000. There's all sorts of, you're getting a lot of really great responses on deals, which is super. So.
Yeah, it's been fun. Also want to just say hello to our Beard Nation. We've got Rad joining us, Steve and Coolhand99. Hope you're having a fabulous Black Friday, everyone, today. So, we are running a little late today.
Yeah.
So we can just jump right into it. And unless there's anything else.
No, we're 20 minutes late, so let's just get into this. So if you do have any questions or comments, throw them over into the comments section. And like I always say, sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and enjoy the show. Welcome, Jim. I'm sorry for butchering your intro.
That's all right, Norm. I feel like you need to take a deep breath. Nice to see you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
What
I think I
happened?
should.
Laptop?
If this was the beginning, if this is the first year of doing this podcast, I would be in the fetal position. But I'm, I did pick myself up. I was only on the ground for about 30 seconds, but it's nice to have you on.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. I got some time with Kelsey. I've been finding out all about your life. I feel like interviewing you now. Your life in Hawaii, hanging out with top surfers. What's all this?
Yeah, just you got to do some things in life. By the way, Jim, I was talking to Kelsey yesterday, and I'm going to do something really unique, and I hope it's going to be next week. I am going to have ChatGPT interview me.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be the full podcast. And I'm very curious to see what, it has to say, what the questions will be. But so that's a little spoiler alert for next week. We're going to try to do that.
How do you do that? How do you set the prompts up to do that?
I'm going to be working off my phone. So I'm just going to be talking back and forth. So if you want, I'll let you know when we're going to be doing it, and I'll show you exactly what I'm up to. And it's not that hard to do. A buddy of mine, we're having a cigar the other night, and he said, I just did this for my company. And I went, what? And he just showed me how to do it. So I'll tell you afterwards. So no, I don't want any spoilers until then.
I'm going to tune in. There's a debate now with Eitan on LinkedIn. You might have seen it, where around sort of the use of ChatGPT and whether it can really deliver customer experience or not. So
I saw that.
Yeah, timely.
Yeah.
We'll all be tuning in, see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic. But now let's switch it over to you. You've gone through, man, you've got some really interesting stories yourself. So why don't we talk about some of your many business hardships and how you were able to deal with these difficulties and grow your brand?
Yeah, I mean, where do you want to start? Life's been pretty good, but I've been hit by lightning a couple of times. So are we talking about Amazon? Are we talking about before Amazon? Where do you want to start?
Let's just go through it. So probably life before Amazon, just leading up to it, starting your or bootstrapping your brand, getting the problems in COVID, going over to Thrasio, and it's unfortunate what we've heard about Thrasio, and now move to Getida.
Okay, so before I started my Amazon business, I was actually living in Spain, and before that, I was working consulting. I had a kind of proper tie job and a suit, and I was working with big companies and helping them drive change, often sort of technology or post M&A, actually helping leadership teams kind of get on with each other and make the spreadsheet a reality post merger. But I had a bit of an early midlife, and a bit like you, I ended up in Spain. I had a kite surf school on the beach in a beautiful place called Tarifa. But I was still consulting back in London, freelancing. And I was working with eBay's European leadership team at the time. And there was a strategy document that was talking about the move towards marketplaces. And my head was always full of useless information because I was looking at these decks and working with leadership teams. It was work. It wasn't really relevant to me. But I got back about a month after this job with eBay. And a friend of mine said, "Oh, have you heard about Amazon FBA?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have." And I've just been with eBay and these numbers, and it sounds quite cool. And he goes, "Oh, there's these guys doing a course." And it was ASM. Do you remember ASM? Amazing.
Oh, I know them really well. Yeah. Amazing.com.
So I bought the course 2013, like 10 years ago, pretty much. It was watch the video, do this, do that, bought some stuff, stuck it up, and it sold. And I never forget, my friends go, just, it was $1,000. It was nothing. I was like, and it sold. And everyone's like, what, really? Yeah, it sells. So carried on doing this, and sort of quite quickly got to sort of doing 50 grand orders, and then went to China. And by the end of 2014, we're on $1 million in revenue. So there was no looking back. I was all in. And so 2014 to 2020, I built a great business, knocking on for an 8-figure business. And
nice.
The lightning strike was COVID, which was amazing for most people. But the one place you didn't want to be when COVID struck was in the travel category. And unfortunately, I was all in on travel. Everything was travel accessories, packing cubes, toiletry bags, shirt folders, any geeky thing that went in a suitcase for cruise ships or for airplanes was what I did. And the two things that were just killed with COVID were cruise ships and planes. So Yeah, that was a hard time.
Oh my gosh.
I borrowed a lot of money because the business was growing fast. So as you know, like in services, you can sell a deal and then you put the team together. In consulting, if you want to sell a lot in Amazon, you have to buy a lot of inventory to put it on the shelves. If there's nothing on the shelf, you can't sell it. So I was growing fast. I borrowed a lot of money to feed the growth, and suddenly someone turned off the lights, and I was there holding a lot of inventory around the world in a lot of warehouses. But 95% drop in demand. So it went from huge sales to huge bills overnight.
Jim, when this was just 6 months before this happened, I was tired of flying. I was kind of grossed out about everything on a plane. You go in, you don't know how many heads, were leaning back. I'm bald, so it's really gross, not knowing where anybody or what is on the side when you lean your head on the window. So my family is in the PPE business.
Oh, wow.
And we own our own factory in China. And I was talking to my dad and I said, you know what? We need to get travel wipes out there. And he says, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And 6 months later, we're on the opposite end.
Yeah.
So you got nailed in travel.
Yeah.
We like within a month, we were booked for a year. So it was really crazy, but you'd never know. And that's the point, it's tough, but you were dealing with cash flow. And we talked to a lot of people about capitalization, making sure that you're properly capitalized. So you had a home run, but didn't you feel that you were still just working for the product? You weren't making any money because you were continually growing. Was that the feel?
That hindsight's a great thing.
Yeah.
I was starting to smell that exit, and I had a number in my head that I was shooting for, and which a lot of Amazon sellers and my friends were doing at the time. Like, some guys wanted private jet money. I just wanted to be mortgage free, have the kids' university paid for, and if my next venture was a complete fail, I'd be okay. That's the kind of money I wanted. So some pocket money is going to do new stuff, but enough that if I failed consistently to be able to carry on. Now I'd take a fraction of that, but at the time, like, I was on that trajectory for an exit, and a lot of my friends, and I'm sure people when COVID hit, they accelerated and got that exit. But it didn't happen for me. I had the opposite effect from COVID.
So what did you do? Did you just liquidate?
No, you couldn't give it away. You could not give the stuff away because everyone was in the same position. So at first it's like, right, we'll drop to cost. Still didn't sell. Okay, $40 product. We'll try and sell it for $5 less than cost. Still didn't sell. I tried to shift packing cubes into home organization, which was blowing up. And sort of it was almost like sort of disguise a packing cube now as an underbed storage tool. And then Amazon kept recognizing the shift and grabbing it and putting it back into the category.
Oh.
I tried everything.
And you couldn't hold on until, and nobody knew how long this.
No one knew how long it's going to go. And it went on a long time. I went from having kind of 120 days of inventory to having 7 years of inventory overnight. It was, big storage fees. So I eventually, when I realized COVID wasn't going anywhere, I'd take it all out of FBA, put it into the cheapest long-term storage I could. And then it was like, right, I got to start generating some income because I stopped, overnight, I stopped paying myself because the business was bleeding money overnight. So I was like, how am I going to make some money? So I was then doing PPE, like everyone was at the time, trying to do deals around that. Found the product, but couldn't actually find anyone in the UK. The UK government was a closed door. It was crazy. So did that for a while, and then the Thrasio opportunity came along. So I after about 6 months, I joined Thrasio.
Interesting. And you were the first employee in Europe.
Yep. So Steph, who's still there, was one of the co-founders, and she was in a mastermind with me. She was in MDS. You probably know the MDS mastermind, $1 million seller mastermind.
Yep.
And so I reached out to Steph and I said, look, you guys are blowing up. I've been blown up. I've been demolished. And I said, look, I don't know much about M&A, but my background's in consulting. There's not much I don't know about Amazon. How's about getting involved in the acquisitions business? And she introduced me to the head of M&A and to the co-founders, and they're like, with what you know about Amazon, don't worry, you're not a numbers guy. We'll put some smart analysts around you, and you guys go out and just look at businesses together, and you'll have an instinct. The analysts will then run the numbers to know whether the hypothesis and the instinct is right. And so it actually, you know, everything in life happens for a reason, right? Obviously, it would have been great to have accelerated and sold my business. That didn't happen, but I'm very grateful. I learned a lot. I love learning. I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs love learning. That's what drives us. We're curious, and we like to work out how to do new things. So what was amazing there is I suddenly found myself surrounded by people from investment banking and private equity and Ivy League degrees, which I couldn't even dream about having. And I was there in the thick of it with those guys, learning, soaking it all up, but still in the Amazon seller community with my buddies. So very, very cool time. I loved it.
Yeah, just making the best, opening another door. And I've had this happen a million times where all of a sudden something just changes. You know, there could be a shift. People are no longer wanting fidget spinners or whatever it is. And I wasn't in the fidget spinner game, but my really good buddy was. And he came up, he patented this new fidget spinner. The containers were on the water. By the time they hit the warehouse, they were banned.
Yeah.
So, but you got to be able, and that's the beauty of what we do, is being able to, move on a dime. You know, a lot of corporations couldn't do that, but being an entrepreneur, you can do it. Unfortunately, a lot of us, when that happens, you go really into a state of depression because here's your baby, you're gone. And then you let your mind take over thinking the worst instead of, how can I get out of it? It's just all of a sudden, let's watch Judge Judy, 12 hours a day on the couch, and it doesn't work. So it's hard to get out of. And I don't know if you found yourself doing this. And I know I've had experience in this where when this first happened or second, or maybe third, but now it takes a lot to move me off. Like if something just goes into the ground and I have to start over, I have no problem. I'll just start another company and get going.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to know about that. Like how would you recommend that our listeners handle adversity?
I think everyone's different. I've lost everything twice, by the way, so I'm hoping it's not going to happen a third time. So before my Amazon business, I was mortgage free at the age of 32, and I sold my house in London in 2007 and put it into a property deal in Spain just before the crisis hit Spain. So I got, again, another lightning strike there that no one saw coming. So I've had two big lightning strikes in life. I think I've got kids. That's a big driver.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got kids and you've got responsibilities, you don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. You just got to get up. And I definitely have had and still have times where I question myself and I wonder why and what I'm doing. But I think you just got to, as long as you believe in yourself and you have a need, right? Some people don't need to work for money. I personally have always needed to work for money. So I don't struggle to pick myself up because I have a need and there's a force in there that just gets me going.
When I was 28, I wanted to have my first million. And when I was 28, that happened. When I was 29, I was broke. It's just a horrible thing, but you get over it and you learn. So, I paid 7 figures to get my my MBA, but you don't let these things happen again. And one of the things for me that I took away from this was I live all within my means. I've got this buffer around me in case anything goes wrong now, that, hey, we don't have to have 10 TVs. We don't have to have 3 cars. We live according, like we could probably live a lot higher standard of living than where I'm living now, but I'm living beautiful. I live, at the beach. It looks great. I can, I enjoy myself, but I know I can afford it. And there's a really nice buffer around it. And it's the mindset, right? So I always like talking to entrepreneurs about this because everybody, like you said, handles things differently. Now, we started late, and unfortunately, this happened, and I really wish this could have been an hour long, but we're at the bottom of the hour right now, and we're just getting into this, so we might go over it depending on any questions that are provided today. But I just want to say we're at the bottom of the hour. At the bottom of the hour, we have something called the Wheel of Kelsey that happens at the top of the hour, and that's a giveaway. And today we have an awesome giveaway. It's $1,000 giveaway. So, Jim, why don't we just talk about that for a second?
Sure. So, as you mentioned earlier, I'm now working with Getida. For those of you who don't know what Getida does, we work with Amazon FBA sellers. Amazon is an incredible and near perfect machine. That's why many of us chose that as a way to invest our time and to make money. But I think I read the other day that they shift 6,800 units or transactions per minute. So any machine that's got that transaction volume is going to have some misfiles and mistakes, and this is where reimbursements happen. So what we do as a company, we audit all the transactions for sellers. We audit about $25 billion a day at the moment, and we find whether there's small mistakes. We open the case on behalf of the seller, and we get 1 to 3% of annual revenue back for sellers. So the offer is to sign up to Getida. We'll audit all your transactions, and we'll aim to get as much money back for you as possible. Normally, we charge a 20-25% service fee. For this offer, if you sign up, we'll charge you nothing on the first $1,000. So if you like the service, we hope you'll carry on. If you don't like the service, you can take your $1,000, switch us off, and you've just got $1,000 for free. So it's a free $1,000 offer.
That's awesome. And by the way, you can't guarantee anything, but I don't think I know any company who's not gotten something back. And I know one of our brands that I work with, when we did this, we got them $128,000 back.
Yeah, I do this all day. I've got sellers we're getting $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 back when we plug in. So obviously it's relative to the size of the seller, but it's significant. And Norm, the big thing is that it's not just getting 1% of your revenue back. You can take that and you can put it into PPC. And if you 3x your ROAS on your PPC, 1% becomes 3%. If we get you 3% back and you 3x that, you're getting 9% top line growth just by leveraging the cash flow from reimbursements. So for anyone that's not doing it, you should be doing it. It's a massive profit driver. And for the people doing it with their own teams, we can come in and be a sweeper. We can pick up the stuff that's been missed. So you can have your own team doing it, and then have Getida plugged in as a sweeper to pick up any discrepancies. Or often Amazon says no when they should say yes, and sellers don't realize this. So we'll pick up cases that have been rejected, we'll reopen them, and we'll get a success on those cases as well. So it doesn't matter whether you're not doing it or you're doing it yourself. We're happy to come in and act as a sweeper for anyone.
And this is, I've talked about reimbursements before, but what do you have to lose? If you're doing it yourself and you're not doing it right, if you're not an expert at this and you're leaving it on the table, why would you not go to a company like Getida and do this? Yeah, you're going to pay them, but it's found money.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't understand a lot of the times. So anyways, that's the prize today. And also, we've got another great secondary prize for everybody. If you want, we have a code, and that's going to save you $400. So anybody listening, if you're not using Getida now, we'll save you $400 on your transactions. That first 400 is yours, no questions asked. So that'll be at the top of the hour. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll get a second entry. So Kelsey, if you're doing your job right, can you just hit that button? This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by VAA Philippines. Looking for a high-quality virtual assistant for your business? With the rigorous screening, intensive Amazon and Walmart training, and ongoing professional development, get the peace of mind with skill and motivated virtual assistants for a long-term working relationship. Hire through VAA today, and now let's get back to the show. So going out to the listeners, I'd like to hear, if you've had adversity and how did you overcome it? Or if you have questions about it, and, just throw it up here for Jim, and let's see what he has to say. I'm curious. When Thrasio just started out, I tried to get Carlos on the on my other podcast. I know this guy, and he threw me over to somebody else. But but anyway, what was it like being part of this crazy organization that had I think it was the fastest valuation to $1 billion in history?
Honestly, it was amazing. I mean, people are quick to bash aggregators, but to be inside, I joined them as about 100 people. When within a year and a half, we were 2,000 people.
Wow.
And to give context to this, we were valued at $1 billion, much quicker than Google, Facebook, YouTube, all these mega companies that we look up to. Thrasio, their ascendancy was like nothing that anyone had ever seen before. So, you know, growing that fast comes with its problems, and we can talk about that. But being inside that, the energy was incredible. You know, it was a whole new category of business. It was growing fast. Then there was this accelerator of COVID where everything went onto Amazon, and that's kind of when things started getting a little bit too crazy. That was probably the downfall for many, because of the adjustment post-COVID, and then the increase in interest rates exposed even the best companies. And you know, these guys have grown so quickly. You know, the rest is history. We can talk about that as well. But it was amazing, and still is an amazing feat what the guys did.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to some of the biggest mistakes that you've made. I know we've talked about, you know, one or two, but can you expand on that?
For me personally, well, I think my decision to sell my house in London and put it into Spain in 2007 was pretty crippling financially. that was a very simple and very costly choice, because my house in London now is worth a lot of money, and unfortunately I sold the building in Spain a few years ago for a fraction of what the house is now worth. So financially that was a bit of a disaster, but I lived there for 12 years. I had an amazing life. 3 of my kids were born there. They grew up bilingual Spanish, and so we lost a lot of money, but I think we took a lot of, you know, wealth sounds corny, but you know, it fed the soul in many ways for me and my family.
Right.
We struggled financially for a while. So that was a terrible decision, which my ex-partner would tell me every week, that if only we hadn't sold the house in London. It'll be a typical couple marital conversation around, you idiot, you always do this.
Jim, it sounds like we've run down some very similar paths.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just, this is your show today. I won't get down, go down my line, but man, you have very similar paths as I have. I just have to tell you that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, one thing about them, like I don't know if you've had this, but my ex-partner would, when the Amazon business was taking off, and obviously you're very excited, but you can't take any money out, because it's sucking money rather than making you money. But that feeds your energy as the owner and entrepreneur. But of course, I'd come home and my partner would go, stop telling me about how much you've sold and show me how much money is in the bank. And she didn't care really about the business. She just cared about having money in the bank to run the family. And that was a tough dynamic for a long time, because I could see the future in 5 years. I could see the exit. I could see the money, even though it wasn't in the bank right now. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, your partner doesn't have that, and it's a hard dynamic to manage.
When you were growing your brand, were you able to be focused, or did you start spending a lot of money on shiny objects?
No, I was, when I got it, when the penny dropped about the Amazon opportunity, I was all in. Did I see shiny object products? Did I buy shiny object courses? Did I follow shiny object gurus? Absolutely. But it was all in the kind of Amazon ecosystem.
Oh, very good. I was the opposite. I went and I bought everything. Complete loss of focus, but that's just the type of guy I am. Okay. Brands that are facing challenges. It could be today. It could be in the future, cash flow, whatever they are. How can brands turn challenges into opportunities?
I tell you, I mean, numbers wise, I tell you what, I saw a lot at Thrasio, and still see now. I've actually silent partner in an agency. We're winding down, but with a lot of P&Ls and Amazon businesses, there are about 30% of the SKUs, often the SKUs that made the business, that are no longer delivering profit on unit economics. And the founders are wedded to them because of the sweat that's gone into them. They don't want to let them go. It makes turnover, but it's not making money. And those 30% of SKUs take a business that's really profitable to a really average looking business that's cash flow strapped to then grow and launch other products. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned in Thrasio and then with the agency as well, because we were taking brands off sellers and running their business for them for 7% of revenue. And it was a very tough conversation because we'd often drop revenue for the first 6 months whilst we killed off these SKUs, built a healthy base of profit, and then started growing the business again with a scalable margin. And I think everyone knows this, it's common sense, but so many owners don't do it. They can't bring themselves to kill off the SKUs that are not delivering enough profit. Because we're all bred, and I think everyone talks about how much you sell on Amazon. The conversations move to how much you make a little bit, but people are still obsessed with their top line at the expense of actually having a sane business.
Drives me crazy. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. People come out leaning against the Lamborghini, shoving money. I made 8 figures.
Yeah,
that's all great. What's your bottom line? Let's talk about what your net profit is. I've mentioned this on the show before. I've had I worked with a brand that came to me with 8 figures, and they were very, hoorah about, 8-figure business. And I took a look at it and I said, hey guys, sorry to tell you this, but your 8-figure business is losing you $100,000 a year. And then we dug into it and we started to, we were able to get that business up to 16. And by the way, Thrasio ended up buying it. So they were pretty happy at the end, but they were losing money, but they thought they were doing great. So you do have to go in, dig into your numbers as well. And I think that's probably another thing when you have these challenges, a lot of the times the challenges could be turned around just by doing things a little bit differently. Either cutting out certain things, pulling back on, the way that you're spending. For me, I always love going out to events. I'll spend money on it because there's always opportunity that opens up for me when I go to events, meet new people. But there are definitely things in every business that, you go through with a fine tooth comb and all of a sudden you're making money again. So I don't know if you want to go there. Yeah,
I mean, look, PPC, is killing a lot of people. So, events now, I think that things like day parting, which a lot of Amazon sellers have not really focused on in the past. I've got friends that have taken their TACOS down from 17 to 12% just for day parting. That's putting 5% on the bottom line just by making sure that people are not clicking at 9 o'clock at night when they're bored with no intention to buy. So I think focusing on stuff like that is for brands makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I have to agree. And there's so much if you're having issues, or even if you're not, if you're selling your company, or if you have dreams of selling your company, you do this in advance.
Yeah,
wasted money to your bottom line can kill you. Like, you might be profitable, but every dollar you spend, depending on the multiple, if you save that money, man, it can come back tenfold for you.
Yeah,
well, maybe not tenfold, but you know what I mean.
And then the other thing, we're talking about sort of those 30% of SKUs in your portfolio that are often sort of bleeding all your profit. Just simple things again that people know but don't do is like looking at packaging and sort of optimizing packaging for FBA size tiers, and that's something that Amazon sellers who want to outplay the big guns have to do, because the retail ready products come into Amazon and they're not optimized for size tiers. So that's where, if everyone's finding Amazon hard, these are the things that make a big difference, because if you want to win on Amazon, you have to be an absolute specialist, and that's everything from PPC but to size tiering and package sizing and moving away from poly bags where the weights and dimensions flip every 5 minutes because the Cubis scan suddenly overcharges you. Then you can use the box in your main image, and you can put slightly bigger copy on the image of the box, which means that your swatch pops better and you get better click-through rate. And all of these kind of it's all small things that when you obsess with conversion and click-through rates and PPC, all of these things, they come together, and it's not any one thing. There's no magic bullet anymore, but it's just about discipline and not being emotional And I think just trying to do little marginal gains that add up to having a solid and defensible business, which is hard now, right? It's very hard on Amazon. It's not getting any easier.
Right. And I'll just add, because you're on the show today, reimbursements, always they can be overlooked. And you were just saying this, 20 minutes ago about how that could add a few points to your bottom line as well.
Yeah, 100%. I don't want to be over plugging Getida.
Don't worry.
Of course. I mean, I'm genuinely that Thrasio, we were getting like $1 million a month back in reimbursements. That's a lot of cash every month to put back into other things. And you should, every dollar you get back, you should be redeploying it with a multiplier, whether it be PPC or inventory or hiring talent. Every dollar you put into your business should have a multiplier. So every dollar you can pull through reimbursements, actually, it could become really significant.
So this goes out to the audience today, and it's about saving money. Any tips? Have you done anything to put a few dollars back into your jeans to save a few bucks? I'd like to know. And I know that we have people on here that's done this. Like I'm looking at Tom, I'm looking at Steve, Sasha. If you've got anything to add, Luke, I mean, there's lots of people on listening right now. And I don't know how many that are listening that haven't commented, but I'd love to know how you saved money, put some money back into your jeans, put some more profit into the company. All right. Now let's talk about Let's talk about going into 2024. It's different. 2022 is different than 2023. Now we're going into 2024. What are some tips that you can give sellers?
It's really boring, but it's really practical. I just think you have to look to start with your supply chain. China's struggling at the moment. If you're buying in China, there's never been a better time to renegotiate terms. And just because you got a no a year ago or 2 years ago doesn't mean that they won't say no now. Cash flow cycles and cash flow optimization is super boring, but it's what really grows your business. And not only grows the business, but makes your business more valuable. Because a company looking to buy your business looks at your cash flow cycles. And the shorter and better the cash flow cycles, the more profitable and the more valuable that business is. So people focus on COGS, they focus on PPC, and all that stuff is really important. But cash flow cycles is massive. So pushing cash flow burden onto your supplier, not necessarily getting a reduction in COGS, getting better payment terms is a big driver for growth and profitability. So start there, start with your packaging. Then once you've got your product, it's the common sense stuff. It's the click-through rate. Look at brand analytics. Have I call it conversion obsession. Your PPC, everything's driven by that swatch. Use services like IntelliV or Amazon now does it, but just check your conversion rate or click-through rate on that main image. Because if people are not clicking through, it doesn't matter you've got an incredible product or value proposition. That click-through rate determines everything. So start on there. And then once you're on your listing, use the search term query report and see where you're already converting. And really double down on what you're converting on. Get your images to talk to what you're converting on. Bid super high on those keywords. And you've got a good chance, if you haven't already got it, of getting the Amazon's Choice Badge for those search terms. And it's much more sustainable and cheaper and profitable to stack Amazon's Choice Badges than it is to go for the Hail Mary of a bestseller badge, which most people die on the battlefield trying to get there.
Right.
It's kind of, at Thrasio, we called it the death zone. So the position 1 to 3 takes all the money. Position 3 to 12, we called it the death zone. Everyone was bleeding money on PPC, discounting, running deals. They were turning money, but no, it was just trying to get to the top. And it was just, it was very hard to do.
You just talked about the search query report. And if any of you have not subscribed to Kevin King's newsletter, the last newsletter that he did had a really well-written article about the explanation of that search query report, how you can utilize it, with the report itself and brand analytics to really understand, how you can bring out the most in that report. So check it out. It was the last issue. I was just reading it last night, and it goes through it in detail. It's very thorough and it's very well written. You can understand it. So just check it out. Maybe Kelsey could put the link in for Kevin's newsletter. Okay. I think we can go to some some listener questions now.
All right. So we have a comment from Cool Hand saying, there's so much good knowledge and insight. It's hard to have questions while processing this all. So thanks, Cool Hand. This is from Sasha. Is there a pill recommended when dealing with Amazon seller partner support? From AMZ Elite, whereabouts in Spain did you live? He's planning on living there too.
I can't honestly. I think it's the best place in the world. It's a place called Tarifa, Tarifa. It's the southernmost tip of Spain. In fact, it's the southernmost tip of Europe. You can see Morocco across the border. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
All right. We had a question about TikTok, but I don't think it's maybe relevant here. But if there's any comments, maybe Norm, even after submitting a brand certificate, why is it challenging to do branding on TikTok? Any comment on that?
I really don't know, Rad. We can look into that for you and put it into our group, but I don't know. Yeah. I can make it up if you want. I can do, when we were doing, I used to be in the promo business, and we'd be dealing with athletes. And one day I had a chance to go out and meet Wayne Gretzky. And somebody said, "Oh, can you get his autograph?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. I do a great Wayne Gretzky. So yeah, give me all your paper and I'll get him autograph for you." But anyways.
Okay, and our last question from AMZ Elite. Is the $1,000 reimbursement, is it the value of reimbursements or the commission value?
Yeah, we always get confusion on this. So we'll get you $1,000 back into your bank, and we won't charge you any fees. So you'll get $1,000 and there'll be no service fee for doing it.
All right. Okay. I think that's it. Jim, how about your contact information?
I'm Jim Mann with MANN. You can find me on LinkedIn, or Jim at Getida, GETIDA.com. All
right. We just got a question in from Mann. How do you deal with low quality identical products? So, Mann, are you saying that your product is low quality at all, or you've got a premium product and there's a low quality item that's out there? So I can just give you my 2 cents on this. If you've got a premium product, you'll get a premium price. Perception is everything. If it's that first image, if the crappy product, took images with their iPhone, well, they're not going to get the business. I don't know, like I've mentioned this before, but with Amazon, I always look at it at 3 pricing tiers. And I'm going to do this very quickly. For Dead Sea Mud, you can go right now and you can see an 8-ounce container of Dead Sea Mud for $7 up to around $20. That's the first level. The second level, there'll be prices in between, but the next level that you'll see is around that almost $30 mark up to closer to a $50 mark now. And then the next one is $75 to $95. The only difference is perception, and it's the same mud. It's from the same Dead Sea. Yet some people are product cannibalize or just end up product cannibalization. They make nothing except they sell volume. The mid tier is where the average goes. And then on the higher tier, and you have to check this out with price competition and search volume. But at the higher tier, if you do it right and you come out right and you can build that trust, and you have to do a lot of things about that. We're not going to talk about that today, but then you can absolutely 100% win the bid all the time, because somebody, and especially just think of pets. Do you want something really crappy or do you want something good? What about babies? Do you want your kids slipping on a crappy mattress that smells really awful, or something that is odor free and it looks a lot more presentable for the parent? So those are just a few things. I don't know about you, Jim. If I have competitors out there that are that first tier, I really don't worry about them. I don't deal with, that direct sale from China for the most part. I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, I agree. And it comes back to what we touched on earlier, that just you just have to really focus on having if your product is better, the only way the customer knows is if it looks and feels better when they look at your listing. So you've really got to just geek out on that listing and make your images,
So
sharper,
important.
use renders, put lifestyle. I know all of this stuff is common sense, and again, people know but don't always do. Just be really honest and get feedback, or use a service like these split testings. You can win, but you have to have the best images and really good copy, and that's how you can price up a little bit and take on these guys.
Yeah. And now for 3D rendering and video, I've got to get this guy on. He contacted me the other day. Oh, no, I saw it on my Facebook feed and I reached out to him. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. He's not really well known in the Amazon space, but he should be. It's called SavvyWorks. I think it's savvyworks.com. It might be IO, I'm not sure, or AI. But what you do is you feed in your label or your package, and it'll create the 3D rendering and it'll create a video. It's super cool. And I just reached out to him. We had a talk the other day. I want to get him on the podcast as well. But these are things that just make your product look that much better. 3D rendering, especially if you're looking at a pillow or sheets or anything that could wrinkle, 100% 3D rendering all the way.
Yeah, and use the search term query report. I mean, if there's one thing at the moment that's got the biggest amount of power to work out how to sell your product and what your competitors are selling, it's all in the search term query report. So have a look at your listing and see how it's performing, where it's not performing against these other guys. There'll be some clues there as to what you can do as well.
All right. Okay. So this is the last chance to win the $1,000 today. And that is a hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Tag 2 people. You get a second entry. You got about 15 seconds before we get to the wheel. All right, Kels, let's have our last sponsor. Oh, it's me, isn't it?
It is you.
I keep forgetting about this. All right, here we go. This is for Seller Basics. Hey, Amazon sellers, ever faced with account suspensions, ASIN hiccups, or IP headaches? Introducing Seller Basics, your Amazon account guardian. With just $99 a month, Seller Basics offers a dedicated team to shield your business from these challenges. Plus, this membership offers free legal consultations from seasoned e-commerce attorneys. No long-term contracts, cancel with just a month's notice, and you can always view Seller Basics at sellerbasics.com. Now, there is a disclaimer. Seller Basics is not an insurer or a law firm. Consultations come from independent law firms, and results may vary. Membership needed before events leading to the claims. And the last thing, terms apply. All right. And by the way, just on another note about Seller Basics, somebody reached out to me just the other day and had an issue that Seller Basics could take care of. The problem was they weren't signed up. And like they said here, if you're not part of their subscription program, well, then you'll just get the hourly fee if you want to do it that way. Turns out this was a minimum $2,500 charge that anybody was going to charge, which would have cost $99. So just letting you know, if you don't have this, it's just a form of insurance that you can have. And it's the cheapest thing that you can get, $99 a month. And you've got really high quality lawyers that can help you out. And like, it's a retainer. So I'm not only are they a sponsor, I would say it anyways, because it's so important. Okay. Oh, Tom's on. Hope to see you in London next week, Jim. I owe you a beer. Nice. He never offers me a beer.
It's a free bar, so I'm not sure how generous it is.
Okay, I get it.
Sessions, which one?
What's that?
It's Christmas party season in London next weekend. There's a Titan having a Christmas party, and then Danny's having his on Saturday night for Seller Sessions as well.
Oh, wow. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Both. All right. Okay. One more question, Kels, or are we done?
No, that's it for questions.
Okay, I just saw that was still pending there. Okay, so let's get to the Wheel of Kelsey.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right, it looks like there's a lot of people that want that $1,000 cash. Can't hear you, Kels.
Lunchwithnorm.com, and we'll get you that $1,000 of reimbursements. And available for everyone, we have the $400. So it looks like it's
Oh, very good.
okay.
Jan and Tata. There you go. Congrats. And by the way, if you weren't listening at the beginning, there's a second opportunity here. So Getida has generously provided us with a discount that anybody who's not part of Getida right now can get a $400 credit, not the 1,000, but the 400. So that's another $400 back in your jeans.
Norm,
Okay.
Norm, can I, sorry to interrupt? Just one other thing I should have said actually around Getida. For any existing clients, which they may be listening, reach out, because we're finding that most of our customers, when we speak with them, we're finding about 30% of extra reimbursements in their account just from stuff that can easily be we can work with them. So if you're an existing customer, please reach out one-to-one as well. Happy to jump in and make sure we're getting all the money back that you can get.
All right, very good. Jim, it's over. You're done. We did it. It took 20 minutes, but we did it. Yeah, it was so great having you on.
That's a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. It's nice to see you.
Thanks. And I'm going to remove you. You're just going to go back into the green room or whatever they call it. And then I'll come back in 2 seconds.
Sounds great.
All right. Very good. Okay. So let's bring on Kels.
All right. Hello. Thank you everyone for watching today's episode. Sorry about being a little late today, but we'll be back Monday on time, possibly. Yeah.
I think I said this before with my last laptop that gave me problems. I took it out, got into my truck, and I was so ticked off at it that I just went over top of it, and I did it whatever way. Like I'd open it up, I roll the wheels over it, throw it against the ground a few times, and then I got this laptop, which I think after this call, I'm going to do the exact same thing to.
Yeah, I think it's not looking good for this laptop.
I don't think so.
I'm just
it's going against the
like
wall.
Final Destination, like it's gonna, something.
I'm going to throw it in the lake. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, sorry for the laptop, but if you are a part of the community in our Facebook group, that's the Lunch with Norm, Amazon FBA, and eCommerce Collective, make sure you're also a part of the WhatsApp group. It's a very different kind of conversation that happens over there. It's much more casual and just easygoing. You can pop in, ask your questions, go through the chat. People are dropping different types of nuggets all the time, and just a great place to kind of be with any of the other sellers that are in the community. So pretty much everyone, I think, that's in the chat in our live episodes are also over in our WhatsApp group. So yeah, really cool community so far, and it's growing pretty quickly.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when I saw the numbers.
Yeah, so check it out. I want to drop the link there as well. But I think that's it.
And one thing I want to say, and it's so important, and with these communities, with our Facebook communities, we have an awesome Facebook community. There's lots of engagement. With WhatsApp, the same thing. There's lots of engagement. People are it's a community. Like people are not just talking about Amazon, they're talking about a bunch of different things. However, if you don't read or participate and you just want this as another group, don't join. It's not going to benefit you. It's not going to benefit anybody else. So we don't want to have numbers. You know, it would be nice to say, oh, we got 1,000 people in there. I'd rather have 50 people in there that really are using the WhatsApp group for what it's worth. So, and I think that's going to be a theme, is that why build a community when, you know, let's say half of the community is just doing it to take part and say that they have another WhatsApp group or Facebook group. We don't need that. And the people that are in it don't need that. So just letting everybody know that. But it's so awesome to see the amount of communication that's going through that WhatsApp group right now. It blew me away. I didn't expect it. All right. So that's it. That's my rant. My computer's my rant. I'm going to go and run over it with my truck. Now, this next thing is, let's see, it's Friday already. I can't believe it. So join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And I already told you about the groups. Join either the Facebook, WhatsApp, or both of them. And we'd love to have you in the groups. One thing, we just want to have engagement. Okay. All right. We'll see you then.
Entrepreneur.